Hello and welcome to all the hardware and firmware developers out there. Today we're talking about Goliath, and this is an introduction and getting started guide for getting up and running with Goliath. Goliath is a new API service and a web backend for all of your IoT projects. Basically, you don't have to do DevOps anymore. You don't need to worry about large-scale databases, and all of the things that you would have had to do in the past have gotten a lot easier using Goliath and have gotten faster as well. So we're going to show you how to do that today. We're going to show you how to get connected up to Goliath and then also how to work through some of the examples here. This will come to you in two parts. The first being actually getting your stuff connected to the actual servers, and then the second thing would be showing the demo and showing it using a real hardware device. Goliath is built on top of Zephyr currently, so we have a SDK, so that's built on top of the Zephyr open source real-time operating system. And if you haven't heard about Zephyr, it's a somewhat new entrant to the market in operating systems. Basically, there's a bunch of support from different chip companies, open source developers, and small companies that are using it. Everybody kind of feeds back into the generalized repository, and then you can use some of the code that's already there. So if you are using a particular sensor, it might already be included in the drivers that are in Zephyr. The Goliath SDK is built on top of that and basically allows you to pull in many of the Goliath functionalities, such as firmware over-the-air updates. So basically your firmware can get updated easily. LightDB, which is a database that makes it easier to send data back to the cloud. And then also troubleshooting. And basically, you much like a printf statement, you can send troubleshooting data over your network connection back to the Goliath cloud and view it on a regular basis. That's actually going to be the subject of this tutorial. So we're going to be using something called the ESP32 DevKit C. This is, if you haven't heard of the ESP32, it's a low-cost Wi-Fi platform, usually in a module form, like here on the right side, the W room. And then it's onto a dev board. This whole thing can be had on Amazon for $6-7, so nice and easy there. And we're going to actually use that in our doc site. And this is the doc site, so docs.goliath.io. This is where we're going to be working from, and we're going to just click on our try or quick start guide. So we're going to start from here. So as we mentioned, DevKit C and Zephyr are going to be here. Now, if you are a longtime hardware developer such as myself, you'll probably not be super comfortable using the command line, but I want to reassure you here that you can just copy and paste, and really it's just about getting muscle memory here. And so that's important. Another thing I want to bring up is the fact that this is in early beta, and so unless you're approved for the beta, you won't be able to follow all these steps, but you will be able to see my account and see what's going on before you actually even try it out yourself. So that's what this video is for. So let's go back to the screen here. So first up, we're going to go and install Goliath. If you're on anything except Mac, the only thing that has an actual package manager is through Mac using Brew. Otherwise, you're going to actually download the binary, which I'm actually on an Ubuntu 20.04 system right now. I'm actually running on a VM. I really like Ubuntu for Zephyr stuff. I think it's the smoothest process for using Zephyr. You don't need to do that. You can use Windows or Mac, like I said, but I think this is going to be the easiest here. So we're going to download this. It'll go into our downloads folder. And then I already actually have this unzipped into a Goliath directory here. So I'm going to actually navigate to this. So I'm in my home directory. I'm going to switch into Goliath. Make this text a little bigger. And in here, we have a couple things. We have Goliath CTL, we have GURL, which is actually going to be changed soon to CoAP. We have license, and then we have README. What we're really going to be using is Goliath CTL. And so this is a script, so you need to run // in order to do that. If you add it to the path, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to just use the command by itself. But until you do that, you have to do /. So here's all the different things we can do using this. So we do Goliath CTL and then something like device list, and we'll do that a little bit later. But what we're going to start with here is Goliath CTL login, and that is the next step of our, so we need to actually go and sign up here. So we'll go back to the command line, here, and I'm going to say // Goliath CTL, tab complete, and then log in. And you see that it sent it sent this code here, token, and I'm already logged in. I need to log out first. So I'm going to log out just to show you that I can log in. Same thing here. Basically, it's just sending these different authentication tokens. But if I do log in once more, it's going to send me to this screen here. And at this point, I should say, if you're not yet a part of the beta and an approved member, you actually will not be able to get past this point. And so that's important to know. And if you have any questions about that, if you think you're part of the beta and you get to this point and you're kind of stuck, you can always go into our Discord chat, and there's a support section over on the docs site, so docs.goliath.io/support. You can see how to get to the Discord, or you can email beta@goliath.io at any time, or devrel@goliath.io, you'll see as well. That's the email address I'm using here. So let's go back to this screen. So at this point, I'm going to go into here. I'm going to say use my login. I'm going to type my password in here. I'm not going to save it. So you can see I have been authenticated. If you don't see this message, it means that you're not able to actually log in yet. And then you see that it actually does send a token back here. That's going to be, now that's actually stored locally, and I should be able to get into my my stuff here. So again, I'm in this same directory. And now we're going to add a project, and then we're going to actually add a device here. So first things first, we're going to go in here. We're going to use this line. So actually, let's go side by side here. So we can just get our side by side. We can do .goliathctl project create, give it a name. This is tutorial project. And now we can see that. We can then, once again, list what's actually in there. And the project is basically a way to organize your stuff. And it does it a little bit, oh yeah, up here it says how the project is defined is up to you. So it's not necessarily that it has to be like a high-level project. If you're working in a corporation, it doesn't have to be the corporation name, but it has to be something that you know, some way to organize your own stuff. Think about kind of like folders or directories, basically for where you're going to be putting devices. And that's what we're going to be doing next year. So I'm actually going to just copy this here, and we're going to use the same Goliath provision. And what this is basically, this is a unique ID. Usually this is the equivalent of like a MAC address. You're going to give it a name. You're going to give it a credential ID. So this is something that basically you'll be able to refer to it later as. So if you wanted to refer to a completely unique ID off of on all of the Goliath network, you would refer to dead beef ID. Actually, that'd be within your account. You need to make sure that dead beef ID is only used once. If you try to have a second device that you provision as dead beef ID, it's going to give you an error. So I'm going to do a shift insert here. I didn't copy the whole thing apparently. So let's copy the whole thing. It doesn't like that. There we go. I guess I'm going to have to just type it in. /Goliath CTL provision hardware ID dead beef. And then you see there's slashes at the end of the line here. All that means is that it's just continuing this line on. So I'm going to continue on here. This is too much there. Dead beef. That's good. I'm going to do name. Tutorial device. Credential ID. Dead beef ID. And then finally, PSK is your password. Super secret. We'll keep that the same. Let's see how that does. See, there we go. Already being used. So let's go and change this ID. I'm guessing that's because of a past project I created. So we're going to call this Dead Beef Tutorial. Let's try that. Nope. Creating hard device. Oh, there we go. So this is actually because of the MAC address here. Somewhere else on the system, it is being used. So we're going to say EEFFABB. Let's try that. There we go. Now we should be able to do .Goliath CTL device list. And we're good. All right, so we're going to go through. Let's keep on going in the tutorial here. And next, we're going to actually go and set up Zephyr. So this is something basically where we need to actually run through the Zephyr SDK and get all this stuff installed. This is a little bit more advanced. This is basically all of the repository dependencies that we need here. So basically you see things like Python 3 pip, Python 3 setup tools. We are going to, all of the installers, especially West, which is the installer tool, is actually going to be using Python 3. And so we're going to actually use that. I already should have this installed on this machine, so I don't think you'll see much going on here. I believe it's already installed. Yeah, we're already good here. So it already exists on this machine. But what you want to do is basically do an update. And again, if you're in Linux, this should be pretty normal to you. If you're not used to it, try copying and pasting here. And if you need any other help, you can always email devrel@goliath.io and we can help you get set up here. But we expect early people, especially beta users of Goliath, are going to be pretty comfortable with Zephyr. And we're going to move into other people later on that are kind of getting started with Zephyr. We'll have more content around getting started with Zephyr then as well. All right, so then this is the big one here. So what we're going to do is go back to the home directory. And you see I already have Zephyr project here. But so what I'm going to do is actually remove it. That's going to remove the project directory and all the stuff in there. I'm going to show you some of this stuff, and then we're going to basically leave this video with scrolling credits because, as you'll see, it's pretty intense once you get stuff started here. So we're going to say west init Zephyr project, right? So this is basically what this is doing. It's basically pulling in the Zephyr branch that Goliath has, right? So Goliath took the Zephyr Git project, we forked it, we put our own stuff in there, and now we're going to go and pull this in here. Okay, so that's now in here in Zephyr project. So if I do ls, you see Zephyr project once again exists. We switch into it. There we go. We got modules, nothing else in here. What it really has, though, is if we do ls, I lost my cursor, ls-la, we should see actually a YAML file, or a .west file, sorry. The .west file tells it where to go and grab all of the things when we do west update. So we're going to west update, and this is how we're going to go and leave. We're going to go and leave to many updating things here. So you see that Zephyr basically is built from many different SDKs and modules from the hardware manufacturers, and it's pretty intense to go and get all that stuff installed. So like I said, we're going to leave with some scrolling credits. So that basically gets you to the point of Zephyr. You need to do the West patch as well, but then there's a couple other commands here. If you want to see more, go and check out docs.goliath.io. In the next video, we're going to go and take this Zephyr project, we'll double check everything we have here, and we'll put that onto an ESP32 device, which I have sitting right over there, and we'll actually get it talking to the server. And so that's always exciting. It's basically like a getting to Blinky type project. You want to get things communicating over the network, and then we want to see it on the Goliath side of things. So this has been a getting started guide for Goliath and getting set up with Goliath. If you're not part of the beta yet, you can go and sign up over at goliath.io. You can, and if you think you're part of the beta but you can't access what you've seen here, email beta@goliath.io and we'll get you squared away. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll have more videos about Zephyr and Goliath coming up soon.